Hi everyone, welcome to the day 2 of training. Today we will be discussing more about IP addresses and devices like switch and hub. But before that, I would request you to join this link as we'll be conducting the chat there and you can send your doubts, post your doubts on this group and I'll be helping you out there since the chat for Teams is disabled. And I would request you to quickly join the group before we start. Yesterday we discussed about multiple things, very basic things which are there to configure a network. We discussed about some devices like switch. We discussed about hub and and after that we discussed how we can convert an IP address, conversion of IP address from dotted decimal form to binary form. So dotted decimal form is something which we understand, which we look at IP address. So for let's take an example 192.168.10.1. So this is a dotted decimal form which we understand, we human understand, but this is not something which computer understand. Computer understands the binary form. We discussed yesterday how we can convert this into binary form so that we can understand how it works with PCs. And after that, we discussed about types of communication which are there. We discussed about unicast, we discussed multicast and broadcast, and we discussed types of cabling, types of cables which are used to connect devices. So all of the basic things were discussed yesterday, and today we will move further with the IP ranges. We ended the class yesterday at IP ranges, which were class A, class B, class C, class D, class E. The class A ranges from 0 to 127. Then class B goes from 127 to 191. And yes, so class B ranges from 128 to 191. And after that, we have class C, which ranges from 192 to 223. Then we have class D from 224 to 240 to 239 actually. And then the last one from 240 to 255. We discussed about the master formula yesterday, which was 2 raised to the power 7, 6, then 5, 4, 2 raised to the power 3, then 2, 1, and 2, 0. And the values of these are 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. So if we turn all of the bits off, which is 0 for all, the result we get is 0. And if we turn all of the bits as on, which is 1, and if you calculate and sum them up, then the result you will get will be 255. So this is the reason why our ranges starts from 0 and ends at 255. Darshan, the class range for class A is 0 to 127 only, but the thing is that 0 is used for default routing and 127 is a loopback address. But they still are a part of class A range only. And if we talk about the usable range from class A, we get one to 126. So that's not something we are discussing today. We'll get to that later on. But before that, let's understand how can we remember the class ranges of class A, B, C, and D. So if you look at the very first range, which is from 0 to 127, so what you can do to memorize this is you can keep in mind that for class B, you have to just turn on the first bit. And when you turn on the first bit, the result you get is 128. So this is pretty sure that class B is starting from 128. And when it comes to class C, you have to remember that you have to turn on the first two bits, which are 128 and 164. And when you add them up, you get 192.
If you enjoyed the content of the video, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel.
These are the names of continental organizations which assign IP address to these particular continents. You can have a look at them, and if you want, you can also note down these names. So the one we have for India, which is in Asia, is EPNIC. Then we have RIPE NCC. Then we have EFRINIC. Then we have LACNIC. Then we have ERIN. These are the continental-based organizations which takes care of their own continents for the assignment of IP addresses. So if we are talking about 192.168.10.1, which is a IP address from class C, we will write the subnet mask with it. And to avoid writing this whole thing, we use something known as /24. Now, what is this /24? This /24 represents the network bits in the IP address. Now, if you look closely at this, there are 3 octets which are representing the network part of class C IP address, and 1 octet is of 8 bits. Here we have 1, 2, and 3. So how many total bits are there for network? So we have 24 bits of network in an IP address of class C. And when it comes to class B, we have 8, then 8. 8 plus 8, 16. So we have 16 bits. Then if we talk about class A, then we have only one network octet here. It will be 8 bits. And so instead of writing the whole thing, you can simply put a slash, then 24, and you don't have to write this after that. So with an IP address of 10.1.6.5, I will not write 255.0.0.0. Instead, I will just put a slash and will write 8. So this 8 represents the bit part, the network part of the IP address. And similarly, if we have IP address 150.10.120.616, then we will write /16 for that. So these are the default network parts. There is something known as subnetting, where we make changes in these network and host parts, which we will learn in coming days. In that case, this 8 can be changed to 9, 10, 11, 12, and any other value. So we will learn that in coming days. You don't think about that as of now, as it might confuse you. So this is something about subnet mask. Subnet mask just represents the network part of the IP address. So here we will take a 5 minutes break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I just have to get water bottle for me. See you soon. So yes, hi guys, I am back. There is a question Subnet mask is also said to be used for dividing and characterizing network into subnetworks. Yes, you are correct. Subnet masks are used, and but this thing happens after you do subnetting. We will discuss that in maybe today or tomorrow. We'll see if we get time to cover that. I wanted to like begin it only when we can complete it in the same day. So I just don't want to start it today. We'll see if we get time. Maybe we do some netting also. Sure. I was about to introduce you something known as Packet Tracer. We will learn how to use Packet Tracer, and let's do a simple lab today. Let's see. Let's just as we discussed the thing connecting two PCs together with the same IP range. Let's see how it works, and we'll use a simulator known as Packet Tracer. So let me help you first to get that. So let's take the same example. Uh, so for the IP address which we discussed, IP address of class A, which was 10.0.0.0, we said that the maximum range can go to, for class C, 192.168.1.0 to 192.168.1.255. But what about the class A and class B? This is class C. And if we talk about class B, then how will that work in these case? So for class C, we simply put the value, the bits of network which are there on the power of 2. So if we do the 2 raised to the power of 8, we get 255. So these are the number of hosts which are there in a IP address of class C. So what we are doing basically, we know that the prefix of class C is n.n.n.h. So we are just putting the number of bits of host which are there as a power of 2. Now if we talk about class B, we have 2 raised to the power 16. Why? Because there are 2 octets assigned for host, and if I see what is the value of 2 raised to the power 16, we get 65536. Okay, 65,536. These are the number of hosts available there. And when we do the same thing for class A, we do 2 raised to the power 24. And the value you get is something near to 16 millions. Let me get the exact value for you. Okay. So the value you get is 16,777,216. So these are the number of hosts available there in a class A IP address, and these are the number of hosts available there in the class B IP address. Okay, yes. So 2 raised to the power, yes, correct, Shubham. I was about to say that. So, so the number of hosts available there for class A IP address are something near to 16 million. And how does that works? We will understand that first. So if we talk about the first 255 IP address, it will be 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.255, and between this range there will be 254, 253 and so on, starting from 10.0.0.1 to 255. Now after this 255, what happens there is this will become 10.0.1.0. After 255, the IP address will be 10.0.1.0. So now the second last octet is getting into the picture and the value changes for that. Now from 1.0, the range will go till 10.0.1.255. Then again it will change the second last octet to 2.0. Then this will go till 10.0.2.255. Yes. So it will go till 2.255 and so on. Now imagine the same thing going till 10.0.255.0 to 10.0.255.255. Now what will be the next IP address? So in this case, what will happen here is now the third octet will turn to 1.255. Okay, so now the third octet will start changing and this will go 10.1.0.0 till 10.1.0.255. Then for after this IP address we will have 10.1.1.0. Then for same and so on. This will go until 10.255.255.255 is achieved. So if you try to calculate from this IP address to this, you will get this value. So this is how the IP range works. And so yeah, if you want me to explain you for class C or class B also, let me know. Okay, cool. So let's move further. Let me just tell you something about packet tracer. Okay, I already have packet tracer in my system, so I'll just remove it so that I can show you how to install the simulator and how things work on that. Okay, so if you go on Google and type Cisco packet tracer, you will, the first page, if you open the first link, you will get something like this. This is the official website of Cisco from where you can get this simulator known as packet tracer. So it might ask you to create an account. It's free to register on the website, so you guys can simply create the account. And if you click on the first course, which is Introduction to Packet Tracer, you'll be able to find the file for packet tracer. And okay, so for those who already have it, it's great. And for those who are new to this, you guys can go on cisco.com or open the same URL which you can see here on the address bar and click on sign up. Once you create the account, you will be able to install the same. I already am registered for the website, so I'll just open my account here. After signing in, the page will look like something like this. You can go to resources, click on download packet tracer, and here you will find the file according to your operating system. Let's see. So install the file. Yes, you can use the student version, or also you can use the guest version. You can simply install the file directly from the URL, and once you have the file, you don't have to create the account. You can just click on guest login and you are good to go. You can like use everything even after logging into the packet tracer as a guest. So you don't have to specifically create the account for this. Okay, so it's about to be completed. And okay, so after you click on this, you will get a notification. You can move further, and once you are done, you can locate the file Cisco Packet Tracer in your PC. You just have to install the same. Okay. You will get something like this. Do the next and install. Sure, I'll share the link with you guys. Don't worry. But I want you guys to just focus what I am telling here. After that, once we are done with the class, we can look into that all those things after that. Yeah, yes, that's better if you create the account. But even if you don't want, you can use the guest version. That's not a problem. Once you are done, you can find the Cisco Packet Tracer in your PC and just open it. I'm sharing my window for Packet Tracer. Just a minute more. Okay. It will ask you to log in. The login window looks like this. If you have created your account, you can simply put your email and go ahead with signing into the Packet Tracer. Otherwise, you can just create your account using the sign up option. I'll just quickly log into this so that we can move further. So once you log in, you will see a screen something like this. This is your logical workspace. The white part you see on the screen is your logical workspace. And after that, you see, I just want you guys to please focus here. I will just share the link after the class, which you can use to install the Packet Tracer. Till then, I would request you to please focus here only. If you see my cursor, there's something known as network devices. When you click on network devices, you get routers here. These are the available routers which you can use for your labs. And routers are nothing, it's a device which is used to make communication between different networks possible. So as we discussed, the communication which was not, we just said that it's not possible. So for example, we take an IP for 192.168.10.1 and 192.168.11.1. We just said that the communication between these two PCs won't be possible, but if you connect a router with them, you can make this communication possible with the help of routing, which we will discuss later on, how it works and how you can configure routing on routers to make communication between such networks possible. So these are the available routers, and you can find these by clicking on the first part. After that, you will see routers here. Then you have switches, hubs, and many other devices. But we will just look into the devices which we are going to use. So what we have done here is we have connected PC2 with PC3 with a cable. And how we have done it? We just clicked on end devices. We just clicked PC, and while clicking, I dragged the same in the workspace. Then again, I clicked on PC and dragged it to the workspace. After this, I selected the automatic choose connection and clicked on both of the devices, and the connection is there. So that's a very simple thing. I hope you guys understand this. You guys were able to understand this. And what if you want to place multiple PCs there in your workspace? Now, it will become very difficult if you keep dragging these PCs like this. What if you want to So I just select, what I have done here is I have selected these three PCs and I will just click delete and all three are gone. Now I will select the select option back, or I can just simply press the escape. As you see, there's a shortcut written in the brackets. So now again I can select PCs. So what if I want to select the multiple PCs, I want to place multiple PCs in my workspace? What I will do is I'll press Control on my keyboard and will click on PC. Now I will release the control button, and after that, wherever I click on the workspace, I'll get a PC placed here. Okay, and once I am done with this, I can either click on this cancel button which is there, or I can just simply press the escape button on my keyboard and I will get back to the select mode. Now let's understand the practical we just did. We discussed about configuring these PCs with IP addresses of same range and making the communication possible. So you can add a note for your personal reference by clicking on this place note. So I will just write the IP address here. I am assigning the IP address of 192.168.10.1 to PC2, and once I am done I can press escape. Then I will click again on this place note. Then I am assigning the IP address of 192.168.10.2 to PC number 3. Now let's understand how do you configure IP address in the PC. All you have to do is left click on the PC, then you will get this window. Here you will go to desktop, IP configuration, and you just have to type the same IP address here in the bar of IPv4 address, which is IP version 4 address. So we will type the same 192.168.10.1 and just have to click outside. Once you enter the IP address, the default subnet mask will automatically appear. You see 255.255.255.0, which is the default subnet mask of class C IP address. So it automatically identifies the subnet mask and fill it there for you. And then after this, you can just close this, close, then go to another PC, go to desktop, go to IP configuration and type the IP you want to configure, 192.168.10.2, and if you click outside, the subnet mask will appear. Close, close. Now, as per us, these PCs are in same network and the communication shall happen. So how can we test if these PCs are now connected together or not? We will use another tool here as add simple PDU. So PDU stands for protocol data unit. We will discuss this more in OSI model. So as of now, you just have to click here and you will see a message appearing on your cursor. So you just have to click on PC1 and after that PC2. So what we are doing here is we are asking PC2 to send that message to PC3, and when you click on PC3, you see here the action got successful. The message was delivered to PC3. So source, you see the source PC2 from where the message was sent, and destination PC3 to where the message was sent. And the type you see here is ICMP. So ICMP are the we can say it's a protocol under which ping messages are sent or received. So this is how a communication between two PCs can be made. And now if we change the IP address from 192.168.10.2 to 11.2 and see if communication works or not. Let's test that also. So we just changed the IP address from 10.2 to 11.2. Now we will again click on this add message, then we will click on PC2, and when we click on PC3, you see the action got failed. The same thing is happening here. The source is PC2, the destination is PC3, but since the IP address is no longer the same in the same range, which is 192.168.10.0, since the IP address is out of the range of PC2, these PC cannot communicate with each other. These PCs no longer are connected together. So this was a simple and basic practical about connections. I hope you guys were able to understand this. Now, what if there is another PC and you want to connect these three PCs together? So in that case, as we discussed yesterday, there comes switch into the picture. So we'll just go to network devices. We'll click on network devices category. Then we will go to switches and we will place a switch into the workplace. We will drag a switch into the workplace. Let's first correct the IP address. Let's make it back to 10.2. We will go to IP configuration and 10.2. And let's assign an IP address of 10.3 to PC number 17. You can also change the name for these PCs, like from PC2 to PCA, as we have to make multiple connections. So now we will click from PC to switch, then again PC to switch, then again PC to switch. Now it will take around 30 seconds to come up. You see the orange circle is, it can be considered as it's still loading, and once it turns to a green triangle, you can consider it as a connection. So if you just don't want to wait for that long, you can simply press on this skip button, and once you click on this, it fast forwards for 30 seconds and the connection is up now. Now if you select the packet, or you can say if you select the message and click on PCA, now you tell the PCA to send this message to PCC, and let's see if it works or not. When I click on PCC, it tells me that the action got successful. Yes, the source was A and the destination was C, and the message you have sent from PCA was successfully sent to PCC. And if we try the same for PCA to B, it will be successful. Now you can also delete the logs by clicking on delete. It will just clear out the logs, and if you see from PCA to PCB, it is getting successful, and from PCB to C. So now we can conclude that A, B, C are now connected together and they can share files with each other with the help of this device switch. Now let's understand how switch determines whether the packet is for PCB or C. That is done with the help of something known as MAC address. So we have been discussing about IP addresses. Now let's get introduction about MAC address. So here is MAC address, and it looks something like this, and this form is known as hexadecimal form. Hexadecimal form. And if we talk about IP address, So this form is known as dotted decimal form. Dotted decimal form. MAC address is also known as physical or hardware address. And the IP address is known as logical address. So MAC address is of 48 bits and IP address is of 32 bits as we discussed. So now I have a question for you all. What we did in the last practical, we just changed the IP address from 10.2 to 11.2. Now I have a question. Can we also change the MAC address of a device? So when I hover my mouse or on this PC, okay. So I want you guys to see on the right, there is a table of MAC address. So now let's understand how switch use the MAC address to make communication between devices possible. Let's say the MAC address of PCA is AA. We are just taking this as an assumption. Then for PCB is BB and for PCC is CC. Now, why a switch doesn't broadcast everything, or how it determines whether the packet is or the message is supposed to be for PCC or PCB. The switch uses the MAC address to use this, and yes, correct, using CAM table. So it maintains a MAC address table for which defines on which port which device is there. So for example, let's say this is port number 1, this is port number 2, and this is port number 3. So switch will maintain a MAC address table where you can say he will just write that on port number 1 I have PCA, okay, on port number 2 I have PCB, then on port number 3 I have PCC. So if PCA tells the switch to send something to PCC, so switch will look into its MAC table and will see that on port number 3 I have PCC. So the message I have received from PCA needs to be delivered on port number 3. So he will just quickly transfer the packet to port number 3 and PCC will receive the same. To understand this more specifically, what we can say here is, if A sends a message to C, it will reach switch first and it will have a source MAC address of AA. Now what I am saying here is, when PCA sends this message, it will contain source MAC. Source MAC is something from where the message is being sent. So it is being sent from A. So the source MAC will be AA. Now here switch will get to know about PCA that, oh, on port number 1 there is someone connected with me with a MAC address of AA. So let me just quickly write the same into my MAC table. So when this packet or this message will be received by switch will see that it is coming from a device with a MAC address of AA. So okay, someone is connected on port number 1 with a MAC address of AA. Let me just write this. Switch will do this. Okay. Now switch is not aware about PCB or PCC. Then he will just broadcast the message just like a hub. He will just send the message received from PCA to PCB and to PCC, asking out that, let me just make this more clear. Okay, so the MAC for A is double A, B is double B, C is double C. So now A will send a message with a source MAC of double A and destination MAC of double C, since the message is supposed to be sent to PC number C. So now when this message is received by switch, he will check, okay, the source MAC is double A and the destination MAC is double C. So now you have to just listen to this very carefully. Switch only trusts the source MAC addresses. So he will just add double A into its MAC table. He will not add double C as someone connected to him. He adds the double A to its MAC table. This is happening for the first time. So he will add double A to its MAC table and will broadcast the message to other ports. He will send the same message to B, he will send the same message to C, and will ask that is there anybody with a MAC address of double C, which is the destination MAC address. Then he will ask PCB that are you the one with MAC address of double B. So PCB won't respond to that and will drop the packet. And he will ask PCC that are you the one with MAC address of double C, to which PCC will say yes and will reply, yes, I am the one with a MAC address of double C. Now in this reply, the source MAC will be double C. Now switch learns about that, okay, on port number 3, there is someone connected whose MAC address is double C. Yes, it is R, and we will be discussing about it later on, but as of now, to make this situation more understandable, I am just making you an introduction to all this. So we'll be discussing this deeply, don't worry guys. Now when PCC responds to the request that is there anybody with the MAC address of double C, so now the source MAC will be C, since the packet is getting sent from PCC. Now switch will learn about the MAC address of double C. That, guys, we will discuss about ARP later on. Please focus here. We will learn about ARP in the coming days. Don't worry about that. Please don't get confused between these two. I'm just making this more understandable by telling you how a MAC table is learned by a PC. So now PC is aware about two devices, A and C, with a MAC address of double A and double C. Now after this, whenever A will send any message which is supposed to be for C, the switch will not broadcast it. He will just look into its MAC table and will transfer the packet to PCC. So when when the next time A sends a packet or a message to switch, which is supposed to be sent to PCC with the destination MAC of CC, so switch will look into its MAC table, will check, okay, at my port number 3, a device with the MAC address of double C is there. So we'll just send the same to the port number 3 and PCC will get the same. Makes sense? Yes, you are correct, Dipin. It memorized the MAC address at the first communication when it broadcasts the IP, when it broadcasts the messages, and after that, after the very first communication, when he just simply, it will just look into its MAC table and will transfer the data for the specified PC. So I hope you guys are able to understand how the mechanism of switch works, what is there inside switch, how the functioning is working there. So this was all about switch. Let me show you some switches, how it looks in real life. So you can just go to cisco.com and can look into multiple devices which are used in the field and can have a look on them. So if we go to cisco.com and we'll click on products. In products, you can find switches. When you go to switches, you can see a switch looks like something like this. You see, there are multiple ports available there on which devices can be connected. So these are some switches, some small switches, and as per your network, you can select your switch. Let me show you some big switches. Okay. So there are switches like these also. Is it not visible? Hmm. Okay, just a minute, guys. Uh, are you guys able to see this now? Great, great. So this is something which is okay, cool. This is how a big switch looks like. If you read about this, it's a Catalyst 9300 series switch, and it can transfer data on a speed of 1 Tbps, which is a huge and great speed. So there are switches available with such number of ports, and these are used in big organizations where there is a huge network. And you can here look into some other devices also which are there, like routers. We will discuss about routers, what are the roles of routers, but let me show you how a router looks like since we are on the website as of now. So these are some routers. You can see a branch router which can be used in any branch. Okay. Yes, the session is being recorded, so don't worry. We have some industrial routers, we have service providing routers, and you can get a closer picture to all these by clicking on these series which are there available, and here it is. So today we discussed about Cisco Packet Tracer. We got to know how it works. We tried connecting two PCs together. After that, we learned how switch uses the MAC addresses to transfer data from a PC to another. And we looked into some switches which are there available in the market. We looked into the pictures of routers. We still have to discuss about router. What are the roles of router? And before this, we learned how class ranges work, how IP, what are the rules which have to be kept into our mind before configuring any IP address to any device so that the communication can be made possible. We discussed all this in today's class, and we discussed how IP ranges are. Okay, when will be the recording share? You guys will get recording, don't worry about this. Uh, the main thing is you should focus on what we are learning here, and once the course is completed you guys will get the recordings of classes, so don't worry about that. So today we covered all about class ranges. We learned about the switches and routers. Okay, so that was all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the session and you were able to learn something from this. Can you please tell about zero days? Sure, Shubham, we will discuss this and we'll do this tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow, but not today, as it might confuse other people. So don't worry, we will discuss this. You can keep this with you as of now and can post it later. So this was all for today. I hope you guys were enjoying and you got to learn something out of this. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye, guys. Let's meet tomorrow at 5 p.m. And thank you for your time.